powered by Early Ball, the colors of rock and roll.
Can you see me actually? No?
I can't see you, no.
Now you can see me.
There you are.
Hi.
Yes, now I can. With your Thin Lizzy shirt on, look at you.
Yeah, I was spotting my Thin Lizzy
Come
shirt
on.
today. So this is the magazine,
That is
third issue.
excellent. Excellent.
Anyways, let's make this count. I mean, it's strange times, but you got an awesome 10th album actually out.
Thank you.
It's called The Speed of Now Part Now, which is a kind of interesting title. Is it the speed of times that we're living in? Is it the speed of songwriting? Is it the speed of guitar?
All the above. The speed of the times that we're living, I guess, which is very different now to what it was when I came up with this title in October of last year. It's crazy that what this title meant last year is very different to what it means now.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that. Well, let's stay a little bit positive because I think you have a very strong album out. So since this is for Guitar Magazine, I'd like to speed it up back in time a little bit for you. I got this epic question to start the interview with, and it's that 15-year-old kid practicing guitar in Brisbane, Australia. That's where he actually came from. Have you ever thought being at that point of your life back then when you practiced guitar to records like from Johnny Cash to Glenn Campbell's Kills, have you ever imagined being there sometime?
That's such a good question. I don't know. No, I don't know that I thought of it back then.
But you dreamt about it, didn't you?
I can't remember what I was thinking back then. It feels like it was more being on a river and just flowing.
Okay.
I didn't have a destination. I was just on the river and I was going wherever the river was going. That's what it felt like.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, maybe we, one has to do that. If you focus too strong and too much, maybe that's well, that's kind of philosophical, actually.
Yeah.
Let's dive into the songs a bit because I was always a fan personally of your guitar playing. I think you're a real cat on guitar, and I think a lot of our readers would agree on that as well. But now at your point of career, there's like 24 #1 hit singles, like collaborations with stars like, even guitar players like legends like Keith Richards and John Mayer. Your albums are real diverse. You have like pop influences, you take your country influences, you take classic rock influences. On this record, you have guest stars like Pink, which is a great tune. It's little known fact that behind all this, big production and real sometimes high class production, there's a lot of guitar skills in it. So how do you write songs on your own for an album like this, and how do you choose your companions in terms of songwriters?
It's a great question. A lot of the times when I write, I would say most of the time when I write, it's written from a place of rhythm first, percussive rhythm, whether a drum loop or a beat or a groove or something. And I think it's just because we're guitar players that it's great to play along with a groove, with a drummer. It's just great to it's inspirational. Maybe it even taps into something as simple as when you start learning, a lot of the times you have the little metronome, the old metronome, So something is creating a rhythm even there, and you can play with the rhythm a little bit. You can drift in and around it and half time it and get ahead of it and slow it down. This thing is steady. So I like working with drum loops, grooves, just loops of some sort on a song like Out the Cage, which is the opening track of the album. That was that began as one of those crazy sort of 90s English house breakbeat feels, kind of like Fatboy Slim or Prodigy, something like
Yeah,
that. You know, I Firestarter, and I love those kinds of rhythms. They're just like, they get me just really jacked up. And so I wondered if I could bring that rhythm and that energy into my world and make it work for me somehow. So that rhythm was where we started. And I've always loved Pete Townsend's acoustic playing, especially like on Pinball Wizard and songs like that. It's so frenetic and punk and exciting, and those worlds go together. The sort of punkish English attitudinal worlds fit with me. Oops, I'm so sorry. Having grown up in Australia, playing, that's my wife, by the way. Having grown up in Australia, playing the clubs and kind of all grimy and working class, so I think a lot of my foundation fits into that world. So that was a good example of a song that started from a straight up groove, and then 12-string guitar got added to it, and the
plus you got famous Nile Rodgers on that as well.
Well, once the song started taking shape, I went, well, that's the perfect Nile Rodgers song right there. So yes. I called him up and said, we're working on this song. I think you might love it. And so I sent it to him, and he called me up. He goes, bro, this song's killer, man. Thank you. And he played some amazing guitar on it and sent it to us, and it just sounded incredible.
Great. Well, let's stick with the songwriting a bit, because I find it really interesting who you've been accompanied with. There's a gentleman that is well known for our readers because he is head of the Cadillac 3, Jaron Johnston.
Oh yeah,
that you did Tumbleweed with. I know from Jaron that he's always hailing. He goes like, he's a good buddy of mine. He's a great guitar player. So how did you guys get along with writing a song for your new album?
He wrote Tumbleweed with the other two guys in his band, Cadillac 3.
Right.
And sent me a garage band demo that they did on their tour bus.
Nice.
And I could already tell it had this wild, reckless thing that really spoke to me. So I took that track, and then went in the studio and had a great drummer come in and play, and then a bass player. And then I went out to LA and used a keyboard player that I really loved, and I just built the track slowly out from this GarageBand demo.
Okay, interesting, because Jaron told me one time when we were talking about songwriting and his tunes that he's writing, that he, like you said, writes on tour bus sometimes.
Yeah.
Jaron uses very often open tunings, and that you would call him and ask him how the hell he played his stuff.
Yes. But the opening lick, I wanted to double the opening lick on my banjo, and I couldn't figure out this figure, this this unusual, I don't know,
hybrid.
I couldn't untangle it, and I went over to Jaron, and he taught it to me, but it was open tuning. So I was trying to play it on a normal tuning, and it was very difficult. So.
Okay. Now, this is for Guitar Magazine, right? So we have to talk a little bit more guitars. Well, I mean, everybody knows you have a huge vault, when it comes to guitars. You have a love for guitars. I think you are special as a guitar player because you like the simple guitars, like one pickup guitars, two pickup guitars. Yeah. What did you actually use as a main guitar selection for this album? And what kind of acoustic guitar, we talked about acoustic guitar as well, did you use on this album?
Well,
Remember that?
I have, electric wise, most of the guitars, I have a 64 Fender Strat, that I use a lot because it's very versatile. and I know it really well. It has a surprisingly fast neck for a 64, very skinny and very, very fast guitar. And I have a 51 Fender Nocaster that I would use a lot on tracks as well.
Okay.
A couple of Gibsons, couple of Juniors, like 57 Junior. I love the single P90, excellent guitar. And then also I have a guitar that's called Novo, N-O-V-O.
Yeah.
And that I use that a lot for textural things. Really, it's got a beautiful tremolo on it. It just sits beautifully in a track as a textural piece. Really, really versatile guitar as well.
Is that the guitar? I noted that what kind of amps did you and effects and guitars did you use on a song, for example, Change Your Mind, because there's a nice texture and rhythm texture underneath it.
Change Your Mind, I think, was exclusively a Fractal.
Okay.
I don't think I used any amp on that song at all. It was all in the Fractal.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, these days, lots of guitar players use Kemper and Fractal systems. Did you switch between amps and Fractal profiler in the studio?
Yes. It really depended where I was and what I was working on. I love the immediacy of an amp. So a lot of things were done with an amplifier. I used a Friedman head through an old 4x12 cab quite a bit.
What kind of speakers?
And Celestian greenbacks.
Okay.
Yep. And gosh, what else did I? That was sort of one of the main amps I would use. And I have a 58 high-powered Tweed Twin as well, which is great. A great amp, very versatile. Well, not versatile, but just very true. A very true amp.
Sure.
Yeah. But the Fractal, I have a love-hate relationship with the Fractal.
I was not going to ask that, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too
many options.
It gets things very, very quickly. But they're ones and zeros. It's not a real guitar.
No, thank you for that. I
with
agree.
Speakers and everything, and it's a very good photograph of an amp, but it's not an amp. It's a photograph of one, a very, very good one. And I think depending on the song, the immediacy of the Fractal is something that I really love, so I can not lose inspiration in the studio.
Yeah. I totally agree. Interesting. I've seen you with a great Martin. I think it was a D28 or D18.
Yeah.
An old
D28.
Last year's CMAs.
Yeah. Yes. Correct. Yeah.
I suppose that's yours, right?
That's my main acoustic. That's a 1946 D28. That's my main acoustic guitar that I use in the studio. Yeah.
Yeah. I was guessing that. Because it even at the CMAs where you have huge microphoning and stuff like that, the guitar sounds just great. I just wanted to tell you that.
Thank you.
And I was thinking about probably going to use that in the studio as well, but you're not going to take it on tour, do you?
I don't take it on tour. No, it's I play Maiden guitars made in Australia, making acoustics. Tommy Emmanuel got me into those 20 years ago, and they're just great live. So that's a lot what I use live.
Nice, yeah, great guitars, and a legend of guitar player, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's switch a little bit back to the album and to the songwriting process. Like I said in the beginning, it's a little known fact that even great songwriters like you pick songs from other songwriters. So what made your choice? I mean, we have Dave Cobb as a producer who did Chris Stapleton, for example, and Sturgill Simpson and all these other cats. How did you choose your songwriting teams?
There were some people I hadn't written with before that I really wanted to work with. A new artist named Breland who guests with me on the opening track, was a new artist I really wanted to write with. We ended up singing together as well, but I really wanted to write with him in the studio. Some people I didn't know about, the writers on the Pink duet, One Too Many. A couple of those writers are from, I think, Copenhagen, and I hadn't met them before. And I got sent that song, and I loved the song so much. I said, if you have anything else you're working on, send it my way. And they sent me the song that became Say Something, which is also on the album. So I ended up sort of writing with them remotely. It just, a lot of things just happened very organically and
I like that.
And fluidly. Yeah, even working with different producers was something that happened very, very flowing. It really was.
Did you write from a long distance? Since I know that you're right now in Sydney, are you a long distance songwriter? Would you exchange files, or how's this going along?
It's not something I like doing, songwriting. I don't like songwriting on Zoom or anything like that. I didn't do any of that. I had Breland come to my studio because he lives in Atlanta. He came to my studio, so we wrote in the studio. Say Something, which was written, as I said, started by those guys way over there. I was in Nashville. And another girl, Lindy Robbins, who was one of the primary lyricists, she was in Los Angeles. I needed to flesh out more of the lyrics with her. So we FaceTimed a few times working on lyrics. And I love FaceTime because it's faster and in real time, more than a Zoom. That's the only remote sort of creating I did like that for the album. The other things were, as you said, sending files to a drummer or bass player or keyboard player or Nye Rogers and just sending things to people, sending it to Pink. She would sing, or Nye would play in Connecticut, and they'd send it back to Nashville, and then I'd work on it some more.
So it's kind of like international world collaboration.
Yes, very much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get that. Interesting. Wow. Dave Cobb. I gotta name drop him as well, because he's such a how can I say it? I think he's a great producer, and he's
a wonderful producer.
Yeah, and well known for his organic production and live production. So I was wondering how that connection came along with the way you produce and write songs.
Yeah, so we did a song called Burden, which is a Foy Vance song. I absolutely loved this song, and I wanted to do something with Dave. This isn't on this album. We recorded it previously. But I really wanted to do something with him because I love the organic truth in all of his records. No matter who he's working with, there's an organic truth in all of them.
It is.
And so I went to work with him, and the thing I was struck by the most is he's an incredible guitar player. His rhythm playing, especially, is so underrated. I actually did a song with him. It was actually a duet with Barry Gibb for a Bee Gees tribute record that they're going to be doing very soon, a sort of a duets record. And I did a song with Barry in the studio. Dave produced it. And I was at the microphone, and Barry was at his microphone. Dave's on the floor with the musicians out there with us, the drummer, bass player, keyboard player. Dave's playing acoustic. He's got the headphones on. We're running the song. And he's playing this absolutely perfect, even balanced rhythm track, head to top to bottom. And he got to the end of the song and he said, great. And he told the engineer, Barry's line, the second line of the first verse from Barry was good. Keep that. The lines 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the second verse on Keith, keep those. And I'm sitting there going, he was playing this perfect rhythm and listening to everything that was going on and clocking all the things he wanted to keep all at the same time. It was absolutely remarkable, truly remarkable. He's very talented.
Man, that's amazing. That is so interesting. That's so interesting to get this intel from you as an artist working with him, because I think, I love all his records he did so far. And let's stick with rock songs. There are rock songs on the album as well, like Forever. Great tune with great guitar solo in it. it's like these hidden gems within your songs. Did you play it like live? I mean, first day?
Yeah, I mean, I played with the band, bass, drums, keys, all happening simultaneous. We kept all of the rhythm section from those sessions, drums, bass, and keys, and I replaced some of the guitar. I think we kept a lot of my rhythm electric stuff from those sessions, and then I overdubbed all the soloing, acoustic playing, things like that at Dan Huff's house, actually. Real amps, I think trying to think what amps we used on that. He's got a few interesting amps at his house. He has a diesel amp, which is really good. He has a Bogner Ecstasy amp that was really good. A few different heads, and then he has a speaker cabinet downstairs in the garage that's mic'd up. So I don't even know what that was, but it sounded good, and we just left it alone. Plug it in, turn it up, get a sound, go for it, start playing.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. I mean, it's like somewhere comes this, flown in solo parts that sounds so organic, and it doesn't sound edited at all. It just sounds organic. It's great.
Great. Yeah. Thank you.
What else I've got? Yes, it's a diverse thing you have going on with your albums. I think I remember on Fuse back then you had Good Thing that stuck out a little bit. Like, it was a great straight rock song with a great riff, lots of rhythm like you mentioned earlier before. So that seems to be so important for you, as well as the songwriting. We had the songwriters already. You are producer as well. A lot, shines through that. Is that an important thing for you, that you have hands-on production all the time? Or is it a mixture between choosing different people as producers, giving input to one album like this?
Yeah, I'm involved in every song, just so that it stays authentic to who I am, and that there's a strong through line between every song. So if I stay very, very involved, I can work with all kinds of different people, and there's a good, strong consistency with who I am. The struggle for me, or the challenge for me mostly, is I want to work with someone who might want to take me in a different direction. And the balance is, okay, let's go there. Let's see if this works. And if the producer goes, oh, this is fantastic, this sounds great, I have to make that decision. Yeah, but is it me? Does this really sound like me? Yeah, it's cool. It sounds really cool, but I don't know if it doesn't ring true to me. And sometimes that's just because I got to live with it for a while. And so I record a lot of things and just let them sit for months, and come back to them and compare them to other songs that I'm working on, and see, do I feel that it's true? Does it feel authentic? And if it doesn't feel authentic, I'll go back in and change things and undo things, or I'll just scrap the whole song and go and do it with somebody else, maybe.
Is it something that you did from early on of your career?
Yeah.
Trying to have
because
as much as control as you can?
Somebody, when I got to Nashville, someone said to me, what's the goal? I said, to get a record deal. And they're like, no, that's not the goal. I said, what's the goal? And they said, to get the right record deal. And I said, what do you mean by that? And I said, the one that's going to allow you to make the record that you want to make. That you should wait for that record deal. It might take a little bit longer. You may get other ones quicker, but they won't be the right record deal. Wait till you get one where you can make the record that you want to make. And I've had that right from the very, very beginning. I've been allowed to make my record on my own, choose the songs I want, choose the players I want, choose the producers I want, the studios I want, just everything, and then deliver the record to the record company.
Great. Last question, Keith, because I think we're running out of time right now. What would be your advice for a young guitar player, 15 to 16 years old? How should he practice guitar?
I always say pick a rhythm hero, because too many of us just want to pick a guitar hero that's and we don't really pick a rhythm hero, and we don't focus enough on rhythm. And it could be somebody like an Eddie Van Halen, but focus just as much on his rhythm playing, which is extraordinary. He's one of the great rhythm players. Stevie Ray Vaughan is a phenomenal rhythm player.
Malcolm Young.
Malcolm Young is probably my number one. I think he's one of the greatest rhythm players of all time, and particularly because he's only a rhythm, or was only a rhythm player.
Right.
That's really, really admirable. And I think to lock into those guys and spend huge amounts of time learning that pocket, that rhythm, and that solid foundation before you get off into all this stuff. The other piece of advice I think I always give is to not listen to any one person too much, because you'll end up sounding like that person. And I think I hear guitar players and I'm going, you love Stevie Ray Vaughan, don't you? It's like, oh, I listen to him all the time. I'm like, you need some more people in there, you know. There was already Stevie Ray Vaughan. You got to bring something else to it. So I love the guitar players that I can't tell who their influences are. They're the best ones because they've taken all that in and then made it their own thing. I love those kind of players.
Yeah, I agree. Keith, thank you so much. And
it's so nice to talk to you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, man. It was a blast.
Yeah.
Do
you know where the name Thin Lizzy came from?
I should know that. I forgot.
So when the band was putting it together, it's the way that the Irish say Tin Lizzy, and Tin Lizzy was a character in a children's book, I believe. But it was taken from the nickname for the Ford Model T, which they called the Tin Lizzy. The Ford Model T, the very first Ford production line car, was called a Tin Lizzy. But when an Irishman says Tin Lizzy, it sounds like Thin Lizzy. It sounds like thin. They sound like they're saying thin. And so Thin Lizzy is from that, which is really amazing. I love that story.
Thank you so much for the stories.
Yeah.
Hopefully we see each other sometime back in Germany as soon as we get overcome with this pandemic shit.
Absolutely, because I can't wait to play live. I really can't wait.
You actually plan to play in May, I guess, here in Germany.
That's right. Right.
Man, take care. Stay healthy. Stay who you are, and appreciate that you took the time, man.
Dankeschön. Appreciate it. Auf Wiedersehen.
Wiedersehen. Ciao.
Ciao.
Powered by Early Ball, the colors of rock and roll.